I was to make a decision, I don't think I'd like to drive my own used van. Are you guys still with me? Okay. So now let's talk about the top right in the quadrant, which is letter B, or big business. Big business. Robert's rich dad always said to him, get into either big business and or become an investor. But never, ever be an employee or never get into a small business. Why? Because in a big business, those people who own big businesses, they're actually very smart. Why? Because what they do is they hire the smartest people they can find to run their business. Okay? You see, in a small business, usually you do everything yourself. Right? But in a big business, the difference is you delegate. You teach, you find people who are probably smarter than you, pay them if you can, and then let them be the one to run your business. Like what Mr. Warren Buffett did. He purchases companies, has a lot of CEOs run his companies, and he sits on the board of his holding company, making all the money in the world. By the way, he's probably one of the richest men in the world today. Okay? I'll get that later. Thank you very much. Okay? So, the only problem with getting into this is that this usually requires a lot of capital. But the returns may be very, very good. Okay? In fact, I believe he was saying that the companies he described in this quadrant were companies such as Microsoft, Infosys, those kinds of companies that require hundreds of millions of dollars to operate. Investors, on the other hand, okay, are the smartest of them all, I feel. Why? Because they make their own money work for them. Are you guys with me so far? On the left side here, these people work for money. Okay? Here, you work for money. Here you have your own small business, you work for money. For money or for your own security. On the other side, okay, these are the people who actually get to enjoy time and financial freedom. Why? Because those on the right side of the quadrant are actually those who earn a passive income. When I say passive income, that means that without having to work as hard as you did in the beginning, you are actually able to earn just as much, if not much more, than what you actually used to earn when you were setting up the business. Can you imagine having $1 million in your bank account today? Just imagine, okay? Or is that too difficult to imagine for some people? Huh? Try to imagine having $1 million in your bank account today. Now, I would say that a 5% interest over 1 year would be fair. Is that okay? Is that fair? Just having your money sit in the bank gives you $50,000 a year. Doing nothing. How many of you would like to make $50,000 a year by doing nothing? By simply having $1 million in the bank. Come on. Who among you would like to earn $50,000 a year, waiting at home for your money in the bank to make $50,000? That's easy money, right? That's the ultimate goal of everybody, or that should be the ultimate goal of everybody who is now here in V Africa. Now, you see, we do not want you to be networking until the day you die. Although that's not a bad idea, okay? In networking, usually, you work hard, very hard, in the beginning, maybe in the first few months, few years, maybe even the next couple of years. But as your network grows, you begin to have a passive income. As what Robert Kiyosaki says, passive income. And when this money starts to keep on coming, then you can actually begin to relax. You then begin to have more time freedom. That's when you can have the money that you are now earning make even more money for you. Are you guys with me so far? There are so many advantages to networking over any other typical type of income-generating business or employment. As said in the video, in networking, what do we require you to do? Especially with QuestNet. What do we require you to do? Pay a registration fee of $10. That's it. Now, some of you are wondering, oh wait, I have to buy a product, don't I? Some of you are probably saying that, right? Do you know that you do not have to buy a product? Or am I sounding crazy now? You actually don't have to buy a product if you can find a retail customer to buy the product for you. Right? Which means, if I enroll for $10 in QuestNet, and somebody else wishes to buy a biodisc for her own use, she can buy it, and that qualifies my business center. Are you guys with me? Now, so what is the exact amount of capital, the minimum amount that is required for you to get into QuestNet? $10. How much is a second-hand Toyota van? $9,000, which unfortunately only one lady in the room can afford. How much would be a big business? How much would it take to set up a big business? Millions of dollars, right? The best thing about our business, particularly with QuestNet, is that the startup capital is practically nothing, $10. If you wish to purchase your own product, that's fine, $500, $600 maybe. But that's still nothing compared to what you would have spent for buying a used van. Now the question is, if you were driving a used van for 25 years, do you think that after 25 years you'd be able to pay $1 million in taxes? I doubt it very much. Because in the first place, I doubt if your van will still be there after 25 years, right? So what am I telling you here? You are in the best business possible in the world today. Forget about the $96,000 at retirement. Let's aim for paying $1 million in taxes in 1 year. Because if some people can do it, I can't see why you cannot. This business does not require you have a college degree. No. In fact, some of the most successful people I know in QuestNet today are those who have had very little formal education. You do not have to be a very good public speaker to be successful in QuestNet. No, you don't. Because the best way to close a deal or to close a sale is by speaking to a person one-on-one. That's the best way to do it. How many of you have actually enjoyed watching a movie and told friends about it, and that convinced them to watch the movie? A lot. Most of us have done it, right? How many of you got paid by the producer for referring the movie? How many? No one. Now, how many of you enjoyed using the biodisc? How many of you told your friends about it and got paid for talking about it? Now, are we in the right business or what? There's no difference between talking about good food, a good restaurant, a good movie, or a good product. The only difference here now is that QuestNet gives you a wonderful commission for just talking about it. That's the wonderful thing about our business. Some people call it referral marketing, word-of-mouth marketing, direct selling, networking. It's called by so many different names, but it's one and the same. This is a type of business that is going to rule the world in a very, very short while. And you know what? The best time to be in it is now. So then, maybe after having talked about the 96,000, the cash flow quadrant, maybe some of you are saying, right, I really know, now I know I'm in the right business. But the next question is, am I in the right company? Remember watching the video, it said, find a respectable company that you can be passionate about. Remember watching that? Now, some of you are probably thinking, okay, TG's convinced me I'm in the right business, definitely. Okay, but I'm not sure if I'm in the right company, QuestNet. Maybe I should tell you about QuestNet. For you to be able to fully understand what you've gotten yourselves into. I know that many of you have actually heard this story. And for those of you who have, I beg your indulgence. But I feel it is imperative that those of you who are here for the very first time know why QuestNet is here in Africa. You see, this year we celebrated our 10th anniversary. And maybe to many of you, that doesn't mean much because you joined us last month or 3 months ago or 6 months ago. How many of you have been with us for less than 1 year? Less than 1 year. That's a lot. That is a lot. Okay? So then, I can talk about a 10-year anniversary, but that might have no or not much significance to many of you. Right? So I should explain to you how this QuestNet came about. You see, it was back in 1998 at the height of the Asian economic crisis. In 1998, everything in Asia was going down. All businesses were collapsing. Okay? That was the time when a few people decided to get into a business called network marketing. I happened to be there in 1998 when someone talked to me about a business called network marketing. Now, to me, network marketing was a joke. Okay? I'll be very honest with you. In fact, I thought it was a scam. How many of you think that network marketing is a scam? You have no place in this room today. Oh, suddenly they all went down. Okay? The reason I feel that you're here today is because at one point maybe, or maybe now, you've more or less believed that this is a legitimate business. Okay? But don't take my word for it. Allow me to explain. When I was first told about network marketing in 1998, I said to the person who tried to tell me about it, I said, don't get me involved in those scams. I do not want to ruin my name. Okay? And by the way, I forgot to mention to you that back in 1998, in my home country, the Philippines, I was a television news anchor. Okay? And I had been doing the news then for 10 years. So practically everybody in my country knew me. Imagine. And somebody comes to me and says, TG, you should get into this business. It is so cool. You can make so much money in very little time. I said, don't waste my time. I don't want to ruin my name. Because you see, to a television broadcaster, reputation is everything. Are you guys with me? Can you imagine listening to a news anchor on CNN knowing fully well that this person was a criminal? I don't think you'd probably listen to that person, right? I'll bet the next thing you do is change the channel and listen to BBC instead. Right? So that was something I did not want to happen. But then you see, after some time, I began to think, what if there was some truth to what this person was telling me? Although I was convinced in the beginning that this type of a business was a scam, after some time I asked myself, what if it was true? Maybe I should try it out. Okay? And so what I did was, I did try it out. With my family, I got into the business, but then you see, one thing about me is when I get involved in something, I become very, very passionate about what I do. I got involved in this company. I will not name the company. I got involved in that company, and I put in 100% of my effort into building a network. And true enough, within about 4 to 8 weeks, I was already picking up $5,000 checks per week. Okay? $5,000 checks a week. Imagine making that kind of money. With the moment I began to make that kind of money, I dropped broadcasting. I dropped everything. Okay? Now, here's the sad part. After about 2 months, suddenly, the check, which I was expecting every single week to come from the United States, because we were then dealing with an American company, suddenly stopped coming. Are you guys with me? So I was expecting my check on a Friday. The Friday came, and no check. I got scared. Wouldn't you be scared? And then, I remember some of my friends, maybe it could have been Japa, telling me, don't worry, it's just stuck in the mail. The check will come. I kept on working. And the following week, I was expecting another $5,000 check. Guess what? It did not come. I was becoming really nervous. Why? Because my entire reputation was on the line. Are you guys with me? Now, imagine that happening to you today. After having introduced your best friends, your teachers, your grandmother, your brother, your sister, suddenly your check doesn't come. Imagine, just imagine. It's not going to happen, guys, okay? But just imagine. Can you imagine how that will make you feel? Terrible, right? And so, when that began to happen, the members of the V at that time, a small handful of people, okay? Then we got together and asked ourselves, what are we going to do now? We're in deep trouble, okay? And so, what we decided to do was call the American company. And we did that. We spoke with the owner of the American network